Hi everybody, welcome to the channel for new battle report. So this is the last practice game that I played just before going to ETC, actually the day before, and I was playing against Desdi, who is a French player who was playing for Unit in Nation this year, and he did a solid event with his Saurian enchant, so that was a good practice for me. His list was the following: he's playing an Archmage, an Alchemy with the Pyro spell as well, then a Chimera Master with the usual Vital Essence build, a Skink Veteran on a Pterodon, who can be a piece of chaff or just be annoying. Then a Skink Veteran, 30 Warriors, 2 units of Skink Hunter, 1 unit of Skink Warriors, 26 Tegu Guard with the Cornerstone, which is the BSB, 10 Tegu Mystics with the Champion, that gives him even more spell. Then he has 2 Salamanders, 8 Chameleon, and the Titanopost with the Suncatcher Crystal, sorry, which gives him additional grind attack that are very welcome for this model, and makes him really dangerous for some unit, because he can generate so many automatic hits that it is very hard to counter, and it neglects also a bit sometimes the static res that can be a problem for second models. We were playing for this round the setup of the first round of ETC, which was a good warm-up, a marching column breakthrough, and below you have the spell selection of both players. I took a quite fighty setup because I really wanted to play in front of him and test the matchup, basically. So magic missiles have very good target in this matchup due to the skinks having res 2, careful about his magic and shooting potential. Frost Mammoth should be a good counter to the Titanopod. That's something I pointed out during my last battle against Saurian Ancient, is Titanopod actually against Gigantic cannot stomp them, meaning he's limited to 2 attack strength 6 and a couple of strength 4 attack, which is not so good against a Frost Mammoth that has resilience 6. Test the matchup, try to be in front of him. Secondary, try to stop his 3 scoring to get through my breakthrough and get one of mine in his zone was basically the idea, and the rating I expected it to be slightly in my favor. Deployment wise, I won the roll for side and he started to deploy, and then also started the game. He started from the right, put here a unit of skink, then a second one and a third one. Basically that's the 2 non-scoring, and that's the one that he's scoring. And on my side, I started also from the right, placing a giant, then a tribesman and the dogs. And after that, he elected to start to drop for first turn, put the Chimera Master here, Tegu Guard with the Archmage, Salamander, Mystics, Tegu Guard, and on the left, the 2 single model, the Pterodon guy and the Titanopod. And on my side, decided to be in front of him, try to test a bit more the matchup, so I put the combat Mercvets on the right, then in the middle Death Star with the 3 usual character, the 2 mages and the Great Khan, Tribesman, the shooty Mercvets inside the field, and on the left side I place my Frost Mammoth in a way that he cannot escape line of sight here with his flying character. And I also expected it to, like I said, to be a good stop for the Titanopod and also be a threat for the strength 4 spears, so I felt this is the perfect place for the Frosty. His turn 1. So he elected to place, after making some simulation, he elected to place his small character behind his main unit. He vanguarded and then marched forward a first kink unit to try to use them as chaff, use the hill to shield his Chimera Master, and the rest just moved slightly forward. Magic Phase, Swarm of Insect did nothing on my Death Star. Then he got Fireball that did 4 wounds to my Mercvets, which was pretty effective. And with shooting he did another 2 wounds to the Mercvets. So I haven't played yet, and I lost already 1/3 of the shooting Mercvets unit, which is already a problem. My turn 1, I elected to charge with the Tribesman on a 6 against his shooting unit. I felt I have good chances of at least holding him up and avoid him to chaff me, and I could even win it and make him flee. So he elected to flee, which I think is a sensible move, so he fled. Other than that, I pushed the giant to the side to have a line of sight on his Cayman and have some long charge possibilities. I replaced my dogs, and the Frosty also started to push a bit, leaving him only with long charges. That was enough for me. In a Magic Phase, I got Pyroclastic Flow on those kings, kill 5 of them. I felt this is one of his 3 scoring units, so if I kill it, it could be easier for me to get the breakthrough. So yeah, I killed 5, then shooting, I did 2 wounds to the skin character, didn't manage to kill him, unfortunately. It was just a bit short. Yeah, I missed some shooters here in the unit. That's also one of the reasons why I didn't kill him. His turn 2, he used this guy as a bait, more or less, not really chaff, more bait. He wants me to charge it, and then he can counter charge with plenty of stuff. Move slightly back with the Titanopod, didn't want to risk a charge from the Frosty now. Move those guys a bit back. The Chameleon will only enter quite late in the game. Little spoiler, those guys move to the side to shoot my Giant. Cayman didn't elect to move because I can't see him at the moment with the Murkrats. And that's more or less it. In the magic phase, Swarm of Insect did 4 wounds to my shooting Murkrats, which is again quite a lot. Shooting, he did 2 wounds to the Giant, which is fortunately for me not too much. And then let's move on to my turn 2. I took the charge with the Giant against the Skink to basically make them flee. They, I think, failed terror or elected to flee. They fled and ended up off the board, which is nice. I passed the redirect check and I attempted the charge on a 9 onto the Cayman. The thought process was he has low likelihood of one-shotting me, meaning then I can push the Mugrats on the hill and finish him later. And at the same time, if I get a bit lucky, I could potentially get a nice overrun, which is not so likely to happen, but you never know. I have parry, so if he fluff a bit his attack, could potentially be interesting. But he has still pet weapon to counter my parry, so then he needs 2 wounds on 4+. I have a magic phase, maybe I can cast 2 times -1 to wound, and then it gets very risky for him as a combat, even he's in BSB range. But I failed that second charge. The rest just push forward outside of the Cayman here, line of sight. And the rest, I reposition those guys in a way that they cover any entries that could be annoying. I felt he's really trying to target those guys as much as he can, and therefore I want to have the dog to shield him, to just say, if you enter to shoot those guys, then I'm going to charge you. That's basically the idea of the dog's positioning. In magic phase, I got 2d6 strength 4 onto the skinks, kill another 7. And then shooting here, I did only 1 wound that he saved, so he's still alive, which is very annoying. And then his turn, that's a bit likelihood, so that he survive is combined percentage of 8.7. Not so likely that he survived from short range shooting of poisoned Murkrats, but still did. His turn, and here I think that's a bit a missed opportunity for him. He could have used this character to basically chaff the Death Star instead of the Murkrats, which doesn't bring much, to be honest, since he's not pushing behind. So I felt he could have placed it somewhere here in middle to block the tribesmen from moving and chaffing something, and also chaffing the Death Star at the same time, which basically stops my battle line, and then I have only the Murkrats, which allows him to probably push the 2 blocks plus the Salamander, so he could have pushed everything forward, and I think that's a bit of missed opportunity here, luckily for me. In the magic phase, he got also the charge off on a 7 from the Cayman. I was a bit surprised by that, because the likelihood that he one-shots me is not so high, as you can see here. I still elected to take it. I have a counter charge, and I'm going to be steadfast, so it's going to be an important check to be able to counter charge then with the Murkrat. In the magic phase, he failed the pyro flow, and then he got, I think, 1 wound to my Murkrats through fireball maybe. And then close combat here, he passes the fear check, which is quite important because he changed those stats in case he fails it. Managed to do 4 wounds to me, and with all my attack back, since I'm not hitting that good, I did only 1 wound to him, so as expected. So I lose combat, but I check on the steadfast on 8, which I pass. On my turn, got the charge on a 7 into his Cayman guy. Other than that, the rest didn't move much, and now I really need to kill him, and after that I just preparing some units to make sure that it's hard for him to push. If he moves those guys, he can get charged here, but I felt he could still move the Tegu in a position behind the ruin to tempt me to charge and use the Titanopod as a counter charger piece, and in this setup is in 2 against 1, so I think that would have been possible, and gives him a chance to break through in part of this map, which at the moment is just blocked basically. And the Death Star is still zoning quite effectively those 2 units, but I felt by using a bit an angle and try to create something behind the ruin could be not so interesting for me to attempt a long charge through a ruin towards the left. What happened in magic phase? I get +1 strength on the Murkrats, I guess, and Dispel Rod of Battle, and with all the impact and the attack, I managed to kill him. I think I did a lot with the impact, like 3 wounds. But if I had strength 6, I think I dispelled +1 strength, so I got something else. Anyway, got Cloak of Cinders maybe. Anyway, he still died, so that was nice. I managed to reform before he was able to finish the giant, so that was really nice because he has solo agility, and that's basically it. He's turn 4, it just rearranges his line. Yeah, not much more. I kill him in shooting this time. He still doesn't enter with the ambush. I try to hide here behind, and then that's my turn 4. Not much I can say. I start to angle myself, try to go in the breakthrough. Those guys push upwards. What else? The rest, yeah, just move forward, prepare my 2 pieces of chaff. In case now he wants to push, that's going to be really hard because I have so much chaff at my disposal that can get a charge, chaff something else, and go into combat in a good way. Save half point of the Merc Vets, obviously. Magic Face, Dispel to D6, 24. With D6, I started to kill some skinks here. Swarm kill another 5, so I kill like 7 this round. And here, yeah, just block those guys, meaning they cannot wheel past, they cannot move out, so I'm going to be able to eat them. And after that, Desdi, my opponent, try to make a simulation. If he could try to switch on now, so to be aggressive, but without his chaff alive now, it was going to be too hard and too risky. Just basically could get charged by too many things. So we elected not to do it, and we just stop here because we knew how it would end up. I could just move laterally to the breakthrough zone, eat that, most likely save the rest, more or less. It's hard for him to push, and that's more or less it. So it's going to be a small win for me, plus the secondary. So that's how we ended up. Deployment. As planned, I went in front of him, but we ended up not really clashing. I think he had really a failed opportunity on his turn 3 to chaff me and push forward. Hard for him to push after this chaff was gone, obviously. And yeah, I think available units or mid-range chaff made also kind of hard for me to be able to push. He has more threat than me, and I didn't have enough chaff in the right position to be able to activate the game at some point. 10th right flank, Cayman could have been more patient. I felt the charge was kind of risky. First of all, it's a charge on a 7. If he failed that, he gets charged by the Merc Vets without eating the giant. And then, like we saw, I have most likely a steadfast check. If I pass it, he's died as well. So I felt he could have just continued to protect his flank. Shooting struggled to deliver and made me nervous a little bit in the middle against his chaff character, flank character. And the Frosty effectively zoned the Titano plus the spear. I felt here at some point he could have activated one or the other to attempt me to charge and then counter charge with the other one and try to get rid of the Frosty. I felt that was a bit too easy for me. And I didn't expect really the shooting Merc Vets to die so fast to his magic. Actually, it's not the worst setup. I mean, he had Fireball, Pyrothrow and Swarm of Insect, but only with those 3 spells, he almost killed my entire unit. That was very impressive. I was really surprised by that. Guys, that's all for this battle report. I hope you like this small training, and the next one will be ETC battle report. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye.